Good morning, Southwest students. Today we're going to look at day 32, which is the May 5th activities for English, Social Studies, Science, and Math. So remember, you are doing one assignment that will count for your 4 core classes. So today we're going to look at my home community. How are we spending our time as a family? Collect some data on how you and your family are spending your time during the quarantine and how you spent time before the quarantine. How much time did you spend on various tasks, like eating meals together, watching TV, playing outside, exercising, playing games, etc.? Display your data with 2 different data displays, one for during quarantine and one for before, or combine them into a single graph showing the difference. Include this data display and your data in your final product. Your final product entry for day 32, how are you spending time as a family? Use information from the graph analysis and the PET article to respond for your final product. According to the data I collected or the PET article, my family is spending time blank. Develop your product with relevant, well-chosen facts, definitions, concrete details, quotations, and other info and examples. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out to your teachers via email and they will be more than happy to help. Okay, so now that we've looked at the AMI packet, let's look at the day 32 Google Slides. So day 32 is orange. Remember, day 31 was red, and we're going in a sort of rainbow order. So day 32 is orange. So every slide that is orange applies to day 32. So once you get to a different color other than orange, stop. So day 32, my home community, how are we spending our time as a family? For today's assignment, collect some data on how you and your family are spending your time during the quarantine and how you spent your time before the quarantine. How much time did you spend on different tasks? Eating meals together, watching TV, playing outside, exercising, playing games, etc. Display your data with 2 different data displays, one with data showing your time spent before quarantine and one with data showing your time spent since quarantine started. You could also combine them into a single graph showing the difference. For today's assignment, you are going to create a bar chart, okay? If you are able to create your own graphs using a digital resource, go for it. If you are not good with computers, don't worry. You may create a bar graph on paper. When you create your bar graph either on paper or on the computer, please take a picture and share it with your core teachers. Be sure to label the picture Day 32 Graphs. Please do not email your teachers with questions about how to create a graph on the computer. If you're not sure how to do it, please create a graph on paper, okay? In order to cut down on emails, just if you know how to do it on the computer and you're really savvy or good with Google Slides, Google Sheets, Photoshop, etc., please do it on the computer. That would be awesome to show your teachers your skills. If you can't, just do it on paper. It's going to be easier in the long run for everyone if you just do it on paper. And it doesn't matter either way. We are just happy that you're doing your work. So either on paper or on the computer is perfect. On this slide, I showed you an example of what yours might look like. So if you can't imagine what your graph would look like, use this one as a template. So here's one example of what your bar graph might look like. So the light blue is time spent before quarantine, and the dark blue is during quarantine. So as you can see by this graph, that person spent a lot more time watching TV during quarantine than they did before quarantine. So here's an example of what your graph can look like. So your final product entry for today, you will answer this question in your Google Forms linked here. So click that link, your Google form will pop up, and we will go over that in just a second. How are you spending time as a family? Use information from the graph analysis and the PET article to respond for your final product. According to the data I collected and or the Alone No More article, my family is spending time blank. Develop your product with relevant, well-chosen facts, definitions, concrete details, quotations, and other information and examples. And so if you continue on to the next slide, it's green and it says day 33. So this is the last slide for today. Once you complete the Google form and you email your teachers your responses, you will be done. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your teachers via email and they will be more than happy to help. Okay, so now that we've looked at the AMI packet, we've looked through the Google Slides, let's look at the Google form, which is going to be your assignment for today. So AMI Day 32 assignment, remember mine's a teacher copy. You will have to send a copy of your responses to your core teachers. Once you submit each day's assignment here, it will email you a copy of your responses. You need to then forward that email to your English, social studies, science, and math teachers. I have a separate video on that if you need help turning in your work to your other teachers, but please make sure that you email your responses to your teachers so that way you can get credit for it in each class. So we're going to start with our first and last name. So I'm going to type my first and last name. Make sure you type your first and last name because, like I've said before, we have several students with the same name, so we want to give you credit for your work. So who is your English teacher? I'm going to go with the same one. Perkins is my English teacher. West is my math teacher. Zarden is my social studies teacher. And Yoakum is my science teacher. First question, and only question. Use the pet article Alone No More from yesterday and the graph analysis you just created in your Google Slides to answer the following question. Final product entry 2. How are you spending time as a family? According to the data I collected or the pet article, my family is spending time blank. Develop your product with relevant, well-chosen facts, definitions, concrete details, quotations, and other info and examples. So, if you've seen the videos I've made before, you know I'm just going to write ASDF as my answer, so that way I can move on to the next page and submit my answers. You are going to write a much better answer than that, though. A copy of your responses will be emailed to your email address, so you click Submit, and then it says, good job. Now send this form to your 4 core teachers. You will get an email with your responses. Forward that email to your math, science, social studies, and English teacher to submit to them. So remember, this sends a copy to your email. Please send that to your other teachers. If you have any questions on how to do that, I have a separate video. And if you have any other questions, please email your teachers and they will be more than happy to help.